his ways. He is the head of all principalities. There is no one God cannot reach. There is nothing that he cannot come true for you. But if we take our eyes off the fact that, oh, I lost my parents when I didn't even know them. Maybe you didn't know your parents, or you lost your parents when you were a little child, and there's been no one there who have been a constant in your life. We're just letting you know, joining my voice. It's okay's testimony this morning to say God is always that Father that you can find everything that you need in. Take your mind into your spirit place, take your mind into your consciousness, and you can always find that shelter that you think you may have lacked, mentally or physically, as the case may be. Nothing, no circumstances is too ugly for God to come true for you. Stop judging yourself. That's also another lesson from One Cube Niger this morning. Stop judging yourself. Always run to God. Don't run away from him. It doesn't matter how bad your mess is. Always run to God. There are things I do that I'm not proud of. Don't think I'm sitting down here telling you, acting like I'm a saint. No, I'm not a saint. There are things I do that I'm not proud of. But even at that, I've learned to do one thing for sure. Run to the arms of the one who would not judge me, who will not remind me of all my excesses. He doesn't do that. He forgives you and he lets it go. And he understands your circumstances, your reasons for doing what you do and why you do them, and how to help you. And no one else can do that for you. So God is that Father who will always be more than enough. All we need to do, he's that mother who will always be more than enough. All we need to do is run to him and embrace him and let him be our shelter in the storms of life or at the peak of life. Now, there's something we need to do, and that's we have to go to Sunday, ATN Sunday Talk. And of course, ATN Sunday Talk is a segment of ATN Sunday that focuses on social political issues in the news with the aim to provide balance through stakeholders' analysis of these issues. Our first issue this morning is 2023 presidency. P2B and Shaware disagree on the path to fighting corruption. State of the Nation, NUJ calls on Nigerians to learn good deeds and promotes peaceful coexistence in Nigeria. And we have the case of Libya. Burutai demands recount of alleged loots, publication and a public apology. Kaduna train attack. Terrorists release 7 of the abducted Kaduna train attack victims. And I'm not doing this alone this morning. I have Mr. Opaka Dokubo, who is the Southside Vice President of NUJ Zone F. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll go straight to see how Shaware and P2B seem to be, disagreeing on how best to fight corruption or corrupt leaders. We'll be right back. All right, good to have you back on ATN Sunday, ATN Sunday Talk segment, where we're going to be looking at social political issues for this morning. But before we go into our first story of P2B and Shaware disagreement on how to fight corruption, let me welcome Mr. Opaka Dokubo. Good to have you again on ATN Sunday.
Good to be here.
someone who drives, who owns a car, cannot be on a public transport?
I don't understand that.
Okay, let
Because
me
you-
bring let me bring it down to the real gist. Is there any rule that says that someone is who uses a private jet cannot queue up for to join a flight? Is this supposed to, because you own a private jet? Okay, let me bring it down to this, because we are going into, it's like we're going into back into 2015, where we have ugly politics, ugly politicking, where people you look up to who should know better, reduce conversation in public space from issue-based conversation to attacking individuals. We have a space where I do not think everyone deserves to be a president if you're qualified to be a president. It has nothing to do with a Tinubu. It has nothing to do with Atiku, a P2B, a Shaware, or a Kwankwaso. Everyone who is qualified by the Constitution should be given the right to be a president. So I was reading the story this morning and something caught my attention, and that is the fact that we have individuals who go out of their way to deride someone. P2B was seen queuing up for a flight, to take a flight. So I don't know where he was going to. And then a social media platform or a media platform, I don't know how much they've grown right now, they call themselves Niger Pair. And they went on to publish, P2B is saying, we're using queuing up to take a flight. We hope he will not change. And then Edeja Adeyanjo, this is what has created all kinds of drama on Twitter space yesterday, saying, oh, he is a con artist, how he used the $600,000 worth of chartered private jets while he was campaigning with Atiku in 2015, how he's owing the company, all kinds of ugly statements that has nothing to do with improving the cost of Nigeria. So that's what I'm asking. So he was using private jets in 2015 to maybe 2019 during the campaign season. So now he is in a public space taking a normal flight, being a normal human being, because he's not the president yet. Taking flights normally. So I'm asking, is anything wrong with that? Is it part of the eating corn during?
truly, we have seen politicians do a lot of things, and, especially in this campaign season. You just mentioned eating corn. We see a lot of that. We've seen a lot of that. We've seen people going to popular trees and eating.
Refusing to be at the VIP.
And away to soup and all that. And others going to the common classrooms and eating this free meal for these children as well. They do a lot of these things. And when they get into office,
Oh, we also saw them drinking Sacha Milo.
oh, and everything disappears.
Yes.
I think that's okay. Well, it's what we have seen. But I also ask myself, how consistent? Because if you bring in this bit of mix, I want to ask, is this what he has done before, or is it just for this moment?
Well, I didn't, as a politician, I didn't really know much about P2B. That's the gospel truth. But people have come out to say they met him. They've seen him at other countries, flying, doing normal stuff and all that. So we don't know if it's.
So for me, I think what we'll need to check out within this period is the consistency of the individuals, the consistency of what they are doing, the fidelity to what they have been before, what they are trying to be now. So if we can see traces of fidelity, then we know that, well, this person is just being himself. There's one thing that even catches my attention about him. Even within this campaign period, the primary period, you see a lot of people, when they want to go to, this aspirant, when they're going to the Hausa land, they robe themselves in all those Hausa costume. When they're going to Yoruba, they do the same. When they're going to the Igbo lands, they also change. So they keep changing with this. But for him in particular, he just remains that simple. Irrespective of where he's going to, just see him done as simple as it goes there. When you see somebody who has decided, it is not because I don't have it, but this is who I choose to be. For me, it got a lot of listen with me. It really resonates with me, and because we have seen politicians. They have said during campaigns there are different set of persons when they're asking for the office. And then when you get into office, you see a different kind of person, and that is part of what has brought us to this pass. I don't think at this moment, 2023 elections, I think we should deliberately refuse to be dragged into those conversations.
Thank you very much.
They are not helping. They won't help us. Nigeria, all of them, one thing is certain, all the aspirants agree that Nigeria, we are in deep problem. And we need to rescue. Even the ruling party is still talking, sounding that way. We need to rescue Nigeria. So it is not a time for us to allow ourselves, and I should say this to all the candidates, please try the much you can to remain focused. Don't allow yourself to be dragged into those conversations. Because what I'm beginning to find is that when people can't find something concrete to smear you, then they begin to look for. Because I want to hear. Let people tell me about corrupt. These people, you are corrupt. This one, you have done this in the past. You have.
This is why we get ourselves distracted. The wrong person gets into power, and then we don't even know how did this person, were we blindfolded? We should have known these things. We should have seen these things. I remember having an argument that how can we have a president who we cannot find any piece of arts letter or any piece of work written by him, anything that symbolizes, gives him an identity. How did we end up having people, such individuals, into the place of power who don't have mentally anything to give back to us, and then we're going back to, but I think your advice is timely to say that ignore, don't give life to such conversation.
Just have to, if we love this country and if we want a change in 2023, then we must deliberately move away from everything that talks about ethnicity, everything that talks about religion, everything that talks actually not add to where we want to be, how we're going to save this country, how we're going to save our future. We should just, it's going to be a conscious effort. It's not just going to happen. But because sometimes when they bring these things, it's so difficult for you not to address them, not to just give your attention to them, not to respond to them. But in doing so, you would have been letting go the opportunity to actually stay on the issues and get ourselves to that point where we fully interrogate and scrutinize these ones to pick out the ones that will truly, truly help us. And for me, anybody who brings in this in does not love this country.
All right. I think that's a clear message, and that's a good place to start off Sunday, a week this week. People will come in where at a very critical time in our history as a nation where we have been used. People have, shown us who we thought they were, but that's not where we are today. And they turned out to be the people who we don't even know what to say about them, how to address the issues. We need real leaders to emerge in 2023. Whether it's your candidate or their candidate or our candidates, whoever it is, we must make sure that this person understands that he or she owes us the responsibility to step up and make Nigeria an easier, I didn't say better, an easier place to live in. Where we find ourselves right now, it's not funny. I don't know what aspects of this country is working for you as it is, except maybe you're feeding off the proceeds of corruption. Maybe. So however, because if electricity is an issue for one, is an issue for another. If the issue of education is an issue for one, is an issue for another. So we cannot find ourselves in a situation where we forget ourselves and begin to drag individuals, and then we keep doing this thing, and at the end of the day, we have elections and we have people. So Mr. Bakar's take is literally timely. On social media particularly, let's not what is ignore and focus on what is important to us as a people, and not one individual being hated by another. But that's not all there is for this morning. Let's go into what we have penned down for this morning. Our first story for this morning is so on 2023, P2B and Showore disagree on the path to fighting corruption. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. P2B, after the unveiling of his running mate, Dr. Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, stated that he's not out to witch hunt anyone. In his words, as for probing the past government, let me tell you, you see me argue that you can't close your shop and be chasing thieves. Those who only look at yesterday and today will miss tomorrow. Mine is to look forward. If you come into the government today and decide to stop the leakage first, you'll get more. I'm not going to be part of any form of victimization or witch hunts. It won't happen. Nigerians must live with law and order, Obi said. Now, however, Omoyele Sowore reacted to Mr. B's no witch hunt position on his Twitter page, where he said, as president of Nigeria, I will probe and retrieve every penny stolen by past Nigerian rulers, those who have murdered innocents and deprived them of a bright future. If we could be retrieving money from dead and buried Sani Abacha, we should retrieve from living legendary thieves. Also, Showore's running mate Haruna Magashi added that there will be no exemptions of political thieves, past and present, will be stripped under our administration. Stolen funds from Nigerians must be taken back. And that's the and that's the point where I saw this story yesterday. I was laughing. Now I want to quickly come to you on this, Mr. Opaka. I will not waste my time trying to stop leakages, because the more I do that, it's going to continue. I'm going to leave things I should be doing to chase after, but there must be law and order irrespective of who you are. That's P2B. Sure is saying that's not going to happen. If I become a president, every one of these thieves, I will hunt them down until they pay for whatever they are going to. This other man is saying, I'm not going to victimize or witch hunt anyone. I don't have time for that. And my eye is in front. I'm going to be looking forward. So these are the two presidents. These are two presidential candidates with different take on the path to fighting corrupt leaders. What's your take?
Interesting. I think it's just a question of focus. And if P2B says, look, law and order will eventually prevail, I do not think that would mean that it precludes that if somebody has stolen, the law is going to apply. I should not apply. I think it's all about energy, the focus. It's only a question of focus. I cannot, in all honesty, believe that any president at all will come and then you have seen in a particular ministry, particular department, so and so is unaccounted for, and you would not ask that let it or take its course. I don't think that is a way to serve as deterrent to anybody. But on the other hand, are you going to that is put all your energies into doing this, to the detriment of prevailing, of the current situation that you find yourself. A situation where people are dying, people are out of school, in our health, this thing is in shambles. Sometimes we see situations where people use 100 naira to recover 2 naira or 10 naira. And you'll be asking yourself, what is the wisdom in that? This is how much you have spent only to recover this little. Now, it is not as if it's totally useless, but does it make economic sense? At the end of the day, who actually pays the brunt? Is it the economy? Is it, what is really the opportunity cost of that? Is it the hospitals or the health sector that should have benefited? Is it the educational system that should have had kind of funds that were required at that material time to do that? Or you put all your energies and strength into pursuing this one to the extent that these critical sectors continue to deteriorate. I think it's a decision somebody will have to make. We have seen Buhari who came telling us, I am going to do this. And at the end of the day, we are still asking ourselves, where has that left us now? In any case, of the many people that you say you are pursuing and all that, how many of them have actually come out? At what cost to the economy? At what cost to the Nigerian people? I'm sure till today, Nigerians would tell you, we're not sure where we are in this whole fight against corruption. Don't know how it has really helped us. Don't know how much of that has taken 1 or 2 persons out of poverty. More and more people are getting into poverty. More and more people can't find food to eat. The standard of living, the basic, it just going down the drain. So at the end of the day, you're asking yourself, what is really all of this fight about for? So for me, for the both of them, it's only a matter of focus, because I would want to save the situation at hand first, so that the living can at least have some respite before turning my attention to beginning to look for who did and who did not. Take for instance, somebody is in a critical condition and you rush the person to the hospital. What happens? First and foremost, you take the person to the ICU. It's an emergency case. So every effort at that material time is geared towards saving the person first. When that person is now back to life, then you can begin to look for what exactly happened. Who was responsible for this? Even if it was an accident case. Who was responsible for this? Who didn't do what he ought to do? Who drove recklessly, or who didn't do that? So it's not a time for you to go and keep such a person in a critical condition and then keep the person and say, okay, let's go and look for the drivers that were involved in all of this, and let the report from the whether FRSC come and give us report, let us know, all of that. No, nobody does that. So for me, where we are in this country now, the state of our economy, the state of our country now, it's not a time to begin to look for who did what. First and foremost, save the situation. Let us get to a point where we can say we can breathe, and then we can begin to look at all of that. I would want to think that probably that is the position of the country. I don't know if we need to explain more. We will need to explain more from the coming course. But I would consider that, given where we are at the moment, where our country is, except that some people, maybe because of their own privileged positions, don't feel as much as I am feeling it, as much as I know a lot of people are feeling it. If that's the case, I would expect that, well, such ones will speak differently. But I see Nigeria in Nkrumah and its emergent attention.
Another time to spend.
Another time at the moment. So when somebody comes into office, I want him to see how we're going to fix this.
Yeah.
Plug all those loopholes and let us get our country breathing again. Then we can now begin to think of other things. But not when you go in there, you leave this one. And then probably by the time you come back to say, okay, I want to do, the thing is gone. Life is out. Then what happens?
I think that makes a lot of sense, in as much as you have said this, and then that makes sense. But a lot of people are saying they don't see Obi fighting corruption, because to them he is part of the establishment. And being part of the establishment, that he has cronies and allies that he wouldn't want to fight, because that would mean, fully getting himself out. Why others are also of the opinion that Oshowore doesn't seem to have the maturity to understand what governance is about, because he hasn't been in a position of one. Comparing these two individuals from the angle of, he's an establishment guy, he's like the others, he just wants to, he's saying that to cover up for his cronies. Why this guy, they are saying Showore doesn't understand this, because he's yet to hold any form of executive position in governance, so he doesn't really understand how it works. What would be your take on both?
Again, for somebody who has been there, for another who is saying, I will, you know the marked difference. And we have seen it with this particular government. Before Buhari came on, for him, subsidy was a scam. It was a big scam. In fact, petrol, we were supposed to be selling at 40 naira. Why are we
selling at 65?
Somebody
is
did
it 85 or 65 at the point? And now if you see it at 200,
a professor did one kind of mathematics for him and said, well, shouldn't be selling more than 40 naira in this country, and all of that, and everything. He only he got in and discovered that
it's more than a joke.
It's just more than mere talk. And today, he's paying more. So you would, for a Showore, that radicalism, it's there, the exuberance is there. Yes, in Nigeria, I believe going forward, we need some form of radicalism to deal with some of the issues. But all of that should be within the ambit of the law. So if you come, and then, again, not just the ambit of the law, within the ambit of the law, and ensure that don't hurt the economy more. See, we need people who understand this, because if you solve the economic problem, a lot of others will naturally take care of themselves. Maybe we're finding it hard to find the nexus, or to see the nexus between the economy and the social problems that we have. And those who know tell you that, see, of course, not just don't know, those who feel it, and like I do. Sometimes when you don't know where your next meal will come, not all of us will have the discipline to say, I should do this.
Yeah.
There are a lot who, when it bites, so many won't be able to hold back. And so, there is no time where you're going to wipe out criminality, or you can reduce it to a very tolerable degree if you're able to ensure that people can just get life going a lot easier.
So, but on the other hand, do you think Obi made that statement because, they've accused him, or alleged that he is establishment guy, so he's just saying that because he doesn't want to fight his cronies, and that means he can't fight corruption?
I don't see. There are two things: fight corruption, stop corruption. Fighting corruption, stopping corruption. I'm not sure they are exactly the same. Jonathan's government saw it. Said fight corruption. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was there. Said, look, before you go on to say fighting corruption, let's stop corruption first. That's how they got to getting this DSA thing. First and foremost, stop this leakage. is.
And that's exactly the same statement Peter Obi made.
So you need to stop what the leakages first before you turn around to see what, like I've said, when you are in that critical condition, you push yourself into the clinic. You're not going to look for who did what or who didn't do what. Save this situation first. So it's if Peter Obi has been an establishment person, I do understand, but up till now, if you have anything serious against Peter Obi, please bring it to the fore. I'm not sure anybody is wanting anybody to shield anybody. No, if you have it, but for so far, I think they are merely throwing mud, and I don't want to join that. When they bring real issues, something concrete that this person has actually, or engaged himself in, we will begin to look at that. But to merely just smear, it's very interesting actually this election season. And I was telling somebody, I said, look, I like it. I like what is happening at the moment. For once we are seeing a change in the way Nigeria's election used to run. We're seeing people, somebody dragging us to issues. Not to this person did this person did not do that. No. Dragging us to issues, giving us the real situation. And saying, look, this is no time for he's from here, he's from there, and he's backed by this, he's not backed by that, he has done this, he has not done that. We are looking at stark reality. And if you have been there before, then we'll look at your records. What have you done before? How is that given the way you have done it before? What is the guarantee that giving you this job? If I have a private company, I'm going to engage people. I'm not going to, and I really like that company to succeed. I'm not sure the people I'm going to engage come sit down, telling me, I am from this place, my father is this, my mother did this, my mother is from this place and all that. I should hire you for that. I want that company to succeed. I'm not sure in private businesses nobody does that. But when we come to this public space, when we come to managing Nigeria's affairs, we begin to ask for where this person comes from. And that has not helped us today. It has brought us to this mess. So if we have realized where our mistakes are and where we've made the mistakes, and here we are, we have an opportunity to make things, to take ourselves back from the brink. I think we have a golden opportunity as a nation at this point. What is right? So, for me, it is not about what one has done, what one has not done. Is this person capable of doing this? And not just being capable, what is your antecedent? What have you done before? Even in private business, have you succeeded? What are the principles you're bringing? So we hope to, Nigeria as a country should be able to leverage on that and get ourselves out of this. Then later we can begin to talk about all the things that we want to talk about. Where this but for me, at the moment, I see us in needing, that is, I see Nigeria needing very serious attention, because they are, I don't know how to continue to say this, but I see us in a very critical condition, that if we do not do what is right, I just cause the problem. So I'm not sure that is what anybody needs well for this country.
Well, we'll just keep going at it and having the conversations and having stakeholders like you, give their take. Hopefully we can keep passing the right information across. Now, yesterday is Salah started, Salah weekend as a matter of fact, and we're on it till Tuesday, maybe about Wednesday. So the NUJ yesterday called on Nigeria to learn good deeds and promote peaceful existence in commemoration of Salah 2022. Nigerian National President of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, I beg your pardon, Chris Isiguzo, issued a statement on Saturday in commemoration of the 2022 Eid al-Adha festival, and he prayed that the blessings of Almighty Allah will abide with Muslims faithful in peace, joy, and good health through this period and beyond. The National Secretariat of the NUJ in the Salah message said, just like Prophet Ibrahim did when he believed in God, took control of his life and guaranteed his heart desires, the same way if we can trust God Almighty, He is going to take care of us while encouraging cohesion and peaceful coexistence. We should all remember that Islam appreciates diversity in society, and thus the need for respect and tolerance among Muslims and between Muslims and non-Muslims alike. We charge all Nigerians to learn the habit of doing good at all times to promote peaceful coexistence in the country. And he's ended by saying Happy Eid al-Adha. And that's the celebration that Muslims are going on today. Yeah, one critical thing about this
and then linked to Egypt, saddens me. I ask myself, if God, because all of us believe that every religion actually central figure is the same God that every other person is talking about. Maybe experiencing him in different ways, and then and so you ought to be tolerant, as it were, if you have not experienced him that way, and another one experiencing the other way. That way. What is there if the person, the central figure, is the same? So, in any case, we look at the world. In color, we are different. In so many ways, our environment, our culture, and every other thing, we are diverse in various ways. But
as Nigerians,
no, I mean the world over.
okay.
But when it comes to the color of the life liquid in us, it's the same.
Yeah.
So that tells you that, see, we may be different, but essentially we belong to the humans. We belong together. And for me, that should have been the beauty. It's one duty that we should have harnessed, all of us as human beings. Oh, God is so great. If you believe God is, these are the things that make God great.
Yeah.
So, why would, at any point in time, anybody want to feel that, no, every other person should be out of the face of the earth? Where will that leave you? I know for a fact, how much people have adapted living in certain places in this world. If you exterminate everybody, then such places won't be inhabited.
Yeah.
There are places you take me to now, I'm not sure I'll survive a number of hours, but it will go. But people have adapted ways of living in such very hostile environments. And that is the beauty of God. That's the beauty of nature. So for me, we should have done, every religion is talking, should be talking about how to preserve life as we have seen it, not just taking it. Nigeria is beautiful because of our diversity. Diversity of religion allow you to practice, allow you to do what you have to do, allow me to do what I have, how the consciousness that I have. And then everybody is unhindered, unfettered. That's the beauty. Appreciate that God manifests in this one in that particular manner. That person must not, and as long as it does not affect me, it does not threaten my own existence, then it's cool. I think that is what we should imbibe, that spirit of tolerance, living together, of appreciating that this is not just even about these persons, that it is about God that you yourself call in your own special way. And if you think that you should be allowed to practice your own, then what is it? Others should as well be allowed to practice that way. And that way we all would be at peace. We'll all enjoy ourselves. And at the end of the day, God, the same God we're talking about, will be glorified. That is his beauty. That's his magnificence. On display. That is when we appreciate him the more. I do not think that uniformity or just one straitjacket way of doing things or seeing things shows the mightiness of God. Because as an individual, I have my own way of doing things. There are certain ways that I cannot even change. Yeah. But this is God that is diverse in so many ways. And I think that is what makes him God. So we should appreciate that who he is his diversity. Who he is makes him mightier than every other person. And that way, we should continue to appreciate and tolerate that this God himself, the one that created this one, is the one that has all created this one. And as long as what that one is doing has not affected you, as it does not affect your own existence and your own life, for crying out loud, I do not see a reason why that one should be off the face of the earth.
Now, the call for NUJ's calls for Nigerians to learn good deeds and promote peaceful coexistence in Nigeria is one that is very critical in our space right now as Nigerians. However, we're looking at taking this a cue from 2023. The 2022 Feast of Eid al-Adha, it's a very critical one for us as a nation, which talked about sacrificial living. It's not just for Muslims now, bringing this down even to Christianity, or whether you're an atheist or non-theist, monotheist, whatever it is you are. The issue on the ground is the need for good deeds and peaceful coexistence. NUJ is pushing this call. Like I said, there are other politicians who have come out to say this is what it is. However, how can the National Orientation Agency and NUJ come together? In the last issue we looked at having issue-based campaign and not individual-based campaign. Of course, this would come in, but let's even begin to look at the merits, antecedents of individuals. And one of the issues said that ignore. Now, bringing this to where we are with the NUJ now saying, learn good deeds, and then we must have peace, but we'll coexist peacefully. NUJ is a strong umbrella for mass media generally, and of course the National Orientation Agency. We seem not to have heard anything from them, and maybe they have something in the pipeline that we're yet to see. But how can the NUJ and National Orientation Agency, and maybe media houses basically come in to project this message, promote it and project it at the right institute, at the right corners, to ensure that when it comes to 2023, good deeds and peaceful coexistence becomes a primary reason why we all write on our social media platform, talk about anything that has to do with Nigeria as it is.
Of course, NUJ would have to be commended on this. At a time like this is the right message. There's a message that we have heard from all the faithful, and then even from the right quarters, from the presidency to all of that, everybody is talking about what the right message for the season. But just, okay, maybe we'll come to that. Some of the victims, the Kaduna train victims released, may have paid. But who knows if it was a Salah gift.
Sacrifice.
In the spirit of whatever. So it is a season, but we would have loved that we leave this season by the spirit of this season will allow it to actually drive us, not just for the season, but entire life. That's why, for me, earlier I talked about religion generally and at what it should achieve for us. But here, NUJ, because journalists generally, they report what others, but here the NUJ has come out. So beyond reporting, this is what we ourselves, because we are part of this country, because we also feel what happens. In fact, whatever happens to us as well. This is our own message. And for I would expect that this message is what should resonate around the entire country. Anybody who means well, every well-meaning group should have this message. Not just having the message, but to imbibe it. Because a lot of the times what we find, maybe during Christmas, you hear of those messages, but it should be our everyday experience and everyday part of our lives that we live out every other day. And that is when it is going to make meaning. It's going to achieve for us the desired dividends. But to just mount it for the season and then leave it out there, I don't think it's the best it won't achieve for us. Can we afford, can we for once accept that even as faithful, this is a life that we want to live? We're going into 2023. Now we're talking about people living issues and then attacking individuals. Does that make for peaceful coexistence? These are the things that we need to do. And yet, it is from these same individuals, if you go now, they are also speaking sacrifice this season. And yet, in the next moment, they are busy doing things that would create problem. So, there is sometimes we find a lot of disconnect. Like Nigeria, we are very religious people, and yet we have allowed religion to create, again, crisis. It's paradoxical. This is... otherwise, should have been a very peaceful country because every religion preaches peace. So how come that same, from the same source you have this ugliness and then this beauty? It just does not connect. So we would need to push this message further and ensure that people actually buy the right message and internalize them, give them out as a daily experience, that they are daily things that they do in their lives daily. Otherwise, it is really not going to help us achieve the kind of peaceful nation that we want to have. So 2023, I want to see every religious group, every religious people, and every government official, when it suits us, speak this, but when we sit on the in a position, we seem to forget that we are coming from a religious background that abhors some of the things that we do in office. Because we go there, we'd say, we do a lot of things in the name of Jesus, inshallah, all of this. I have seen them, a lot of them now, in the public space. They have gone to Mecca to pray, they have gone to Israel to pray, they are doing so many things, telling us how religious they are. Yet, when they get into office, things that are put in their care are not accountable. They can't account for them. They don't steal, but things get missing. And so you are asking, how come we do not allow this same religion affect our lives in office? Why?
We leave it in the house. When we come to the office, we become a different person.
Because honestly, if only we are truly, as much as we profess, if that is what we truly are, this country won't have the problems that we have. Because right there, you go to Aso Rock now, you have a mosque. In Aso Rock, you have a chapel. People are preaching there. People are doing a lot of religious things there. And yet, almost every government house now has a chapel.
Let's not go into
it's sad.
Let's not go into that. But then we will continue on the conversation after the break. But guess what we're going to be looking at? Brutai a case of libel. Brutai demands a recount of alleged loot publication and a public apology. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. We'll go into it because there seems to be fire on the mountain for some people. We'll be right back. Good to have you back on ATN Sunday and, of course, ATN Sunday Talk. We are now at the point where we look at something very critical, and that's the libel. Burutai demands recount of alleged loot publication and a public apology. The former Chief of Army Staff, through his team of lawyers led by Dr. Reuben Atamo, a senior advocate of Nigeria, said he was in no way connected with the alleged stashed loot, even as threatening to institute a legal action against an online media outfit called Sahara Reporters, should it fail to retract the said report within 7 days in his pre-litigation notice, a copy of which was cited by ATN, where he said we refer to your publication dated 23rd day of June 2022 with the caption, exclusive, anti-graft agency ICPC uncovers billions in cash meant for arms ammunition to fight Boko Haram in Abuja, home of ex-Chief of Army Staff, Burutai. In the said publication, the lawyer went on to say, you allege that the Independent Corruption Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, had recovered 1.85 billion naira from a house and office said to belong to our client. It was further reported by you that the huge cash was part of the billions of naira earmarked for the purchase of arms and ammunition by the Muhammad Buhari-led government. This is a very serious allegation capable of brewing hatred and attack by public against our clients as former Chief of Army Staff. There is no doubt that Nigerians are seriously concerned about the security situation of the country, and the said publication has portrayed our client as a person responsible for the diversion of funds meant for the fight against Boko Haram. Consequently, our client has been exposed to hate, ridicule, and embarrassment from members of the public, with his friends calling him from different parts of the world to ask for explanation. Is not only false but malicious and an attempt to malign the reputation of our client. By your publication, our client has been ridiculed as a man without honor, dignity, and incapable of representing Nigeria, and portrayed as a fraudster, dishonest person before Nigerians and the international community. We hereby demand that you retract your publication with a public apology to our client within 7 days of receiving this letter, and a public apology to be published in 2 national dailies in Nigeria. Take notice that if you fail, neglect, and or refuse to publish the apology within 7 days from today, we shall not hesitate to commence legal action against you, your organization, for defamation. It is hoped that you would comply to avoid the unpleasantness of litigation and its attendant consequences. And now here we are. This issue of Burutai, a building that they said allegedly belonged to Burutai, where they found 1.85 billion naira, and is the money, according to Sahara reporters, meant for buying purchase of arms and ammunition to fight insecurity. Now, every Nigerian knows that the biggest issue we have is insecurity. Now, Sahara reporter made this publication. Now, prior to this threat by the lawyer, ultimatum given by Burutai's lawyer, they have also come out to say, no, the property does not belong to Burutai. The man has come out to say it doesn't belong to him. Now, one would expect the Sahara reporter to take a cue and do a recant and even apologize before it gets to one point. But here we are, Burutai is saying they have a 7-day ultimatum to recant what they said, present a public apology within 7 days. What do you see coming out of all this?
Well, as a journalist, I believe that I'd like to give Sahara reporters benefit of the doubt. I'd like to think that if they have done their due diligence, then they should stand by their story.
Correct.
On the other hand, we are humans. Sometimes you are likely to falter. If that has happened, it doesn't take anything away from you to say, sleep here. That's one of the cardinal things we learn in journalism school. Required to withdraw the story when you realized, very true, that you have actually either been misled, sometimes you could be misled. Whatever source may have really misled you. So you are required professionally to make count. It's allowed professionally. But it is also true that sometimes when you know you have a watertight case and you know your source, you know your evidences, you are very sure, it is not unlikely for this person's and they're accused to try to make shake you to see whether you actually know, if you're really not sure of the source. On the face of it, you can see clearly some of errors. Except our reporters actually have their own. Because on the face of it, yes, this amount of money was recovered, so and so. That's easy to see. But to link it to whatever is another thing altogether. That so and so amount of money was recovered from such and such a place. Even if that property belongs to, even if, without conceding, even if that purchase, that would be be taking it too far. So, but like I've said, it's not. I mean, I won't want to just make conclusive statements about that. The Sahara reporters ought to have their facts before going to publish what they
Now,
publish.
you know, what would have given the strength to, what may have given the strength to Buritai's positions? One would have also looked back to say, okay, when the ICPC did that, because you said they discovered, one would have also expected to say, okay, Sahara reporters, take it a step further, a notch higher. This is what we have. This is what we have. That now backs down to what you're saying when you say that if they have a watertight case. But having stretched it to this point, because the ICPC is the one who is said to have discovered the loot, and you got that information on that maybe from an insider in ICPC, and who now gave you the information that this is what it is. So at what point are we going to see Sahara report? Because this is not just a dangerous thing to do right now, because Nigeria, like the lawyer said, is at a very critical security state. Now, if indeed, because if Buritai did use our money, stash our money somewhere in an office that belonged to him, which he has said doesn't belong to him too, if he did that, then we need to begin to look at the number of Nigerians that have died in the process of this, both military, civilian and military. There are too many issues around this that we shouldn't be a joke. So what do you think, in your estimation, as a professional here, as a professional journalist, that's what I mean. What in your estimation do you think would have made Sahara reporters keep mum until it now got to the point where they now gave them 7 days ultimatum, which started from yesterday?
Again, that's the point I'm making. If Sahara reporters, if they are sure of their story, I mean, when you say somebody is being sure of the story, it is not just like, oh, coming out there. No. You need to have your facts. You need to have an evidence, concrete evidence. And like I said, no person you accuse this type of thing will just keep quiet, even if the person are guilty. And for the ICPC, again, we're talking about a government that really needs to show that this is a high government official. So, for me, I would like to, as they have squeezed, as they have tried now, yes, I would like to see Sahara reporters rise up to the challenge. If at the point ICPC Rick, disowned the story, didn't quickly make a return, a retrieval of it, and once I want to believe you are sure of what you say, sure of what you have. Not just sure of it, you had that backed by evidence. Because that is what it is. As an investigative journalist of the kind of medium they have tried to be investigative and all that, it's not just seeing something without being sure of what it is and then you come out. Well, of course, they should have counted the cost before coming out with that story. And who is going to be involved? And what do you think will be backlash? You should have been prepared for all of that.
All right. Let's quickly... Okay, go ahead. You wanted to...
No problem.
Let's really bring this back to the fore. Buritai came out to say, no, this is not me. ICPC seem to also be backing that. It's been some days. Sahara reporters have refused to do the needful. Why don't they sue Sahara reporters and take it from there? Why do you have to give them 7 days to recant and do a public apology? Why not go to the court straight? Because this seemed to be a case of libel.
No, I think they have done the right thing.
Okay.
Just in case, they've been magnanimous, and I will expect what they have done is just the proper thing to do. Give this person the opportunity to save himself. Let it not look like you really want to, your intention is actually to destroy this person. The intention is not that. We are all in this together. Everybody ought to be concerned in Nigeria. If this is happening to us, whatever it will take to bring us, get to the root of our problems and resolve them once and for all, I think should be in the best interest of everybody. So, Retire and his lawyers have actually done, they have respected Sahara reporters enough like that, assuming the stories, standing by what they have done. I think it is a respect that they have given Sahara reporters, and I've also realized that it is something that should bother anybody in Nigeria.
And you don't think this is to buy time?
Buy time to do what?
Maybe to ensure that it's to shake up, like you said earlier, Sahara reporters.
No, exactly. If you do actually a lot of things, it could at the end of the day, yes, be like, oh, let us see what they have.
Exactly.
Whether they still are going to stand by it or not. So it is a real test for Sahara reporters. Faltered. We are humans, like I said. This is a situation that is, every other public officer is a suspect. And if it has to do this, if it has to come out this way, then after. But you see, like I said earlier, my problem is the connection, in the sweetness to connecting it to a monument for arms purchase. That's my. Otherwise, we have seen what happened to the money discovered in towers. What has happened? Nobody knows. The NIA and all this, everything has fizzled out. So this is a country that, if you know, everything will just fizzle out.
It shall be well with us.
But here we are. Buratai is an ambassador. For crying out loud, you cannot get into that community this kind of baggage. Incredible. So, it is a real test for Buratai as well as for Sahara reporters. If he's not sure of what it is, if it's a matter of just shaking, 7 days will elapse and then we'll see.
24 hours is gone already.
Everybody will tell the story when the fireworks starts.
Well, we are here, and then we'll keep bringing you the stories as it unfolds. Let's go to our last story for this morning, and that's on Kaduna train attack. Terrorists released 7 of the abducted Kaduna train attack victims. The terrorists that attacked the Abuja-Kaduna-bound AK-9 train on March 28 have released another set of 7 hostages in their custody after more than 100 days in captivity at the forest, as reported by Atlantic Television Network correspondents in Kaduna. Malam Tuko Mamu, one of the negotiators and media consultants to Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, disclosed this through his singular efforts. He successfully negotiated the release of another 7 victims. He's a sheikh, and this is Eid al-Adha, which is the feast of sacrifice. So I think that's understandable that Sheikh Gumi was able to push and get 7. Why are you looking at me like that? It's in the news. I'm just trying to interpret it. He was able to, negotiate with them. We don't know the grounds of negotiations yet, as at the time of this report. We don't know the grounds of negotiations, but he was able to negotiate further and got 7 people. So I think he's been a good Islamic cleric in that. I don't know. Okay, let me leave it to you. I don't understand why you're looking at me. This is in the news. I'm just bringing it out.
Oh, see, what? Negotiation. He's an Islamic cleric. And
Okay. Let me come in here. I don't like where you're going to. See, NUJ people, you could have a way of putting somebody in trouble. See, he has access to these people. They trust him. That's why he's negotiating with them.
He is the chief negotiator. The mediator between him and these people. They are criminals.
They trust him.
These people are criminals.
They
terrorists.
trust him.
It's a good thing. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate these ones who have gotten their freedom and then their lives back, families. This is what I mean, if we pay condolences to those families when they died, when they lose their loved ones, those ones that have been able to get them back, we should also felicitate with them.
True.
But does it solve the problem? This kind of thing, be here or another kidnap, are we likely to is the end of the road for anything? Kidnapping, negotiation. When you negotiate, what are the terms of the negotiation?
We have no idea.
So we are, I don't know. I want to believe that ransom would have been paid.
We were not told.
We're not told, yes.
And even if they do, they don't tell us.
Otherwise, I do not see why they would choose 7. How did they come at them by Tombo?
They have to show that they are good Muslims.
And why 7?
It's a feast of.
So why not release all? That would have you have gone the whole hog. If you are going to say, okay, for this period, for this season, to show that we are good Muslims. Now again, the issue of religion, that's where I want talking about criminals, and you're bringing in the element of religion into it. Are we saying, I don't want to follow that trajectory, I don't want to follow that narrative, that it's because they are Muslims. They are not Muslims. I don't want to see those criminals as Muslims. See the terrorists as Muslims. They are just terrorists. They are criminals. So how that sheikh, Muslim cleric, is involved in it, I don't know. But I think there's so much need to let the authorities know. He has gotten. The question is, did he get the permission of the authorities, of the security authorities, to get to doing what he's doing?
Okay, let me ask you one particular question, still in your line of thought right now, because the average Nigerian have always wondered how he's able to have access to these guys, and the security agencies are not able to access them. How he's able to go, this is not the first time. It's been Shegumi going in to negotiate with the terrorists, the criminal, the bandits, just name them. He's always had access to them, and according to them, they trust him. I remember when our correspondent in Kaduna, when Mike Ode James spoke with this Tukoma, he was saying that they trust Shegumi. That's why they allow them, like when they have information, they pass it across to him, to the government, and then he mediates between them and the government. But this is becoming more alarming by the day. And I'm asking you, maybe you have idea what's going on that I don't have, or many of us don't, who are asking the same question, and that is, why is it easy for him to be the one that negotiates? Why with these people, terrorists? By the laws of Nigeria, they are terrorists. Why are we negotiating with terrorists in our land, in our space? They hold Nigerians hostage, and we have someone who goes in, negotiates with them, comes to the government. What are we doing? What is going on here? Do you understand any of this?
I like to think that, except that our government is usually not very, because these things happen elsewhere. You're asking yourself, how do they do it? We hear, if you talk about Israel and the Palestinians, sometimes you hear of exchange of
prisoners.
That people do negotiate that. But in those spaces...
What you just talked about is government to government.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, talking about.
These people are in our country, holding our citizens hostage for over 100 days, and in some cases more. There is only one man who can access them to mediate between terrorists. Why exactly are we negotiating with terrorists?
The same question, that's why I said, even in those claims I just mentioned now, the people who sometimes are able to take some Israelis hostage, as far as the Israeli government are concerned, those are maybe terrorists. These things do happen. But I want to think that in those places, these are government licensed to get into this business. Nigeria, are we saying government is behind what it's doing? Because today, I'm sure what the feeling I get is that he remains a private citizen, and we have not gotten any government endorsement for what he is doing. Yet, it's still also quiet about what's happening, and it's already there in the space.
There are too many things that we are dealing with in this country that sometimes they don't make sense, but we keep having the conversations and bringing the news to the people as it unfolds. Mr. Pakadokbo, thank you for being part of ATN Sunday this morning. It's always an honor to have you here. Thank you so much once again. And that's been a show for today. Whether we're negotiating with terrorists or we're hoping that our reporters recant their story or brings Nigerians the expected evidence on the 1.8 billion, or we are looking at several other issues. How P2B will fight corruption and how Shore will fight corruption. Wherever it leads, whatever works, just remember that we are Nigerians and we have one responsibility to hold this nation together, and that's how your one vote and who you give it to in 2023 will go a long way to determine what happens to us. But the conversation on ATN Sunday and ATN Sunday Talk is we're done with the studio, but you can go to our social media pages and join us in the conversation to ensure that we have a further chances to buttress on the issues that affect us. My name is Vivian Douglas. Thank you everyone for joining us. You can follow us on our social media handles. Twitter, we are at Atlantic TV Net. Facebook and YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network. Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Remember that peace and unity are always the pathway to progress. Have a great week ahead. The people making the difference in our time on ATN Icons. Here, we present you legends celebrated for their heroism in different fields and serve as role models today. ATN Icons, showing every Sunday 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes DTH channel 194, ATN Live on Google App Store, Facebook Atlantic Television Network, YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram Atlantic TV Network, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. For sponsorship 0810-634-1777. ATN Icons, celebrating the giants of our time.
The people, the candidate, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election year? Enough